Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um, lots of people have been asking me for this. Billions of people. Matt, what are your top five albums of 2025? Everyone's been asking me. I mean, everyone. Got a DM from former President Barack Obama the other day. It was actually about a month ago because he puts out that year-end list every year. People are like, "Oh, I don't think he actually listens to these." Um, in the past that has been true. It's just been me. I wrote those lists, but this year he actually did it himself. So you can quit debating that. I'm gonna sit in my chair now. I don't know why I'm crouching like this. There we are. Now we're in my chair. Um, I wrote out some things, and my phone's at 2%. So we're gonna see how that works. Album number. We're gonna do five albums. Um, it was kind of hard to rank them, and then we're gonna add a bunch of honorable mentions at the end. Not at the end, second to last. We're gonna list a bunch of them because there's a lot of them that I listened to and I didn't know how to make a list because it was hard. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's start at number five. Number five, we got Balloonerism. We got Balloonerism by Mac Miller. This album's great, solid rap album. Really one of the best in the genre to come out this year, I think, in my opinion. Covers a wide array of bases here. His rapping is pretty good, especially on some of the songs here. Um,
I'm gonna pause it right there because I think that was a horrible description. But when I say pretty good and some songs, I mean songs like "Do You Have a Destination?" I think he's pretty proficient in his usual sense. Also, the songs like "Stoned," it's kind of what you expect from him in terms of quality and energy. But he's always leaned into the kind of wordy side of things a little bit. But songs like "Funny Papers" and "Excelsior" feel a little more poetic than usual in a way that I think is really unique and quite nice. So I figured I would just elaborate a little bit there. And yeah.
the production is really unique and interesting. We've got these really spacey sort of synthesizers and keys going on, sometimes some organs. And other than that, we mostly just have giant drums, huge, enormous drums. Otherwise, the production is pretty simple, but it's good. Really good album. Very melancholic as well, very sad at times. Um, Favorite song off of here, probably going to have to be Funny Papers. But there's a lot of other good ones too. So give it a listen. It's also crazy to think of this to understand that this is a posthumous release. If you have listened to other posthumous releases in especially in all of music, but especially in rap music, they're usually abysmal. Maybe like the first one is okay, but like sometimes we push out like three albums of just garbage because they found it on hard drives and they can make money off of it. This one was made with intent and passion, and it shows very clearly. It doesn't even sound like it was posthumous. It sounds complete. It's very good. Arguably, well, not arguably. I guess you could argue that maybe it's his best album, but probably not. It might be my favorite. So there's that, and maybe I'm disqualified already for saying that, but it is what it is. Give it a listen. Good album. Number four, I moved around three and four. Four, we're gonna go with Eusexua by FKA Twigs. This album is great. Actually, admittedly, I was somewhat disappointed by this album because my expectations were kind of unbelievably high. This album came out early this year, and then the singles for it came out the end of last year. The lead single, Eusexua, which is also the title track, and the first song on the album, is phenomenal. I think one of her best songs ever. It's just this huge kind of odyssey of a weird club track kind of thing. It's great. It's phenomenal. And after hearing that, and also the second single, Perfect Stranger, which was very different, but also great, I didn't know what to expect other than that it would be awesome. I figured this would be the best album ever, actually, because her last real album was Magdalene. and then like she had Capra Songs in between there, but Capra Songs was, she called it a mixtape. It was kind of like just like a fun album, which was really good too, but like, you know, it wasn't to the level of her like full album releases. So expected a lot from this. Was a little disappointed because it wasn't the best album I've ever heard in my entire life, but it's still one of the best albums of this year, I think. It is a little fuzzy. Part of the reason why it was higher before, there's 3 Eusexua albums. There's the original one, and then we're gonna get what I thought was a deluxe album called Afterglow. It turns out that was a whole separate album, and the singles that were released for what I thought was a deluxe were actually songs that were going to replace other songs on the original Eusexua. So we now have 3 versions. We have the original, we have Afterglow, and we have the original with extra single with some swapped out songs at the same time that Afterglow is released. You can put any of them here. Actually, well, Afterglow is completely different, and I don't know where to put it. But we're gonna say the edited original. So original with some swap tracks, I think, is the best one. But I've had more time with the first one, so that might be safer. I don't know. They're all good. Listen to them. Favorite song, title track. Perfect Stranger is not on the edited one. That got swapped out, which I think was not an awful idea. As I said earlier, it doesn't really fit like super clearly, but it's still great. Sticky is great. So is what's the name? Striptease. Striptease is awesome. Yeah, cool. Number 4. Moving on. Number 3, we're gonna go with Viagra Boys by Viagra Boys. This album rules. It's got some thick, heavy riffs, some weird, grimy lyrics. Really great performances from everyone here. Pretty consistent all the way through, with some amount of variety as well. It's a really fun rock album. Definitely give it a listen, especially if you like their last album. I think I actually like this more than Cave World. I've been loving it a lot. The lead single was Fire, Man Made of Meat. Wait, is that exactly how it's? I don't know how it's worded. I think it is just Man Made of Meat. That song is awesome. The other 2 singles I wasn't crazy about on release, but they've grown on me. Other than that, I think I love Pyramid of Health. Pyramid of Health is bizarre and awesome. Store Policy, also great. Waterboy, great. Nothing.
Oh my God, did this guy even listen to the album? I'm not sure. Did he listen to any of these? I'm not sure. All of these descriptions kind of suck, but this one's the lamest, I think. Anyway, just thought I'd embellish a little bit. This album, what really makes it so great is just how unique it is and how creative it is. Both in instrumentation, there's a lot of weird stuff on here, but also, especially lyrically, that is very apparent. It's just very weird, and not like anything else. It's weird in a way that doesn't feel like cringe random millennial stuff. It's weird in a way that makes me feel like there's something genuinely wrong with these guys, and whatever it is, it's really good. I'm glad that it's wrong with them. Give it a listen. Again, great stuff.
Really to say here, awesome album, weird, funky rock album. Number two, we're gonna go with "Hurry Up Tomorrow" by The Weeknd. I know it's a lame pick. The Weeknd, are you kidding me? He's too big. He's too big to be putting in this cool niche list. But it's great. It actually is great. I love it a lot. Also, I should admit now there is some amount of bias in this list. Albums that were released earlier in the year, I've had more time to listen to, so I like them more. People also get like recency bias, but I've tried to exclude albums that I just recently listened to, so that does give us a bit of a problem. But this album released very early this year. I had very low expectations for this album, but was instead Those were blown out of the water. This album is great. It is big. It is enormous. This album, and not in both. I guess in both. What's the word? I don't know. In length, obviously, but also in terms of what we are aiming to accomplish here. This was a very large undertaking, but I think it paid off quite well. The reason why my expectations were low is because this album had the worst rollout of any album I've seen this year. Worse than just dropping an album with no rollout. That is much more preferred. Instead, we had a really bad single released like a year, like 2024, like November or something, maybe even earlier, maybe September. I'm not sure. I think it was called Dancing in the Flames. That song sucked. It was just radio music, like hear it in Cole's type of music. And it's like, wow, this album's going to blow. And then we got Timeless featuring Playboi Carti, which I actually quite like. On the album, I don't like it that much, but as a single, I really liked it. And I still like it on its own. But then, and we also had this awful album cover. Maybe I'll throw that up here. The whole thing, it was just like, it felt like a disaster. But what we got instead was really quite great. Some solid performances from Mr. Weeknd himself. The production on here is fantastic. We pulled together a pretty phenomenal team of people. I don't know if there's like really an executive producer. The people you see the most on here are Mike Dean, of course, and then also One O Tricks Point Never is on a lot of these songs. If you haven't heard his new album, give that a listen. It's called Tranquilizer, more of an ambient thing, but you can listen to that. The guy knows his stuff. Mike Dean, also synthesizer goat. We've also got like Max Martin and Shellback, I think, on here. Maybe not Shellback. I think Shellback. Usually they work together. I know Max Martin worked on at least one of these songs. There's the opening track is produced by Justice, the closest thing we have to Daft Punk at the moment. So that track rules as well. All of the features here are pretty great. I love them. It's very cinematic album, which fits with its length because it's also the length of a full feature film. And there actually was a film that goes along with this movie. I heard it was awful, even by hardcore Weeknd fans. So I didn't want to watch it because I figured it would ruin the album. But the album is great. Give the album a listen. It doesn't work well in terms of like playlist stuff. Like you kind of have to listen to it in one sitting, and you need like an hour and 25 minutes to do so. I used to take like really long walks to school, and I would listen to this during that, and that was good. That was awesome. This album rules. Love it a lot. Last Weeknd album ever, apparently, and I think it's a very solid closer, especially if you've been a big Weeknd fan for a while, which I have. Yeah, cool.
All right, so again, we're back here. I think I did a better job of explaining why this album is good, but additional nerd comment, this album just sounds really, really good. I mentioned the production. Everyone there is really doing their best work, but the engineering side of things too. This album just sounds very clean, and also not sure if it really is. I'm not like hooking it up to any kind of testing equipment or nothing. But this album sounds very dynamic to me. A lot of the mixes on here do. This is especially true, I think, for the first song. It starts really quiet and it ends much louder, which is pretty rare to see these days. Not that like really matters a whole lot. Compression is a very misunderstood thing. But when you can get a dynamic mix, it's really cool and it sounds really good. So I'm glad we have it here. And even if it's not, it sounds like it. So that's cool. Yeah.
Before we go on to number one, not yet. We're going to list a bunch of albums that were honorable mentions. These albums range a lot in terms of how much I like them and how much I listen to them. So some of them didn't make the list because I have issues with them and I didn't like them as much as the top 5 albums I have here. Some of them I just didn't listen to that much, but like maybe I would rank higher if I spent more time with them. Some of them, what did I already say? Some of them just aren't really for me. I'll be honest. Like, they're really good. I listened to them and I enjoyed them, but I didn't like really connect with them because they were maybe out of my comfort zone a little bit. But still, all of these are worth a listen. Also, there's a lot of things here, which maybe is a bit of a cop out. So you can't yell at me for saying I didn't include this album because I've got so many here. Anyway, let's just start listing them. Number 1, we got these aren't in order, by the way. I don't know if I already said that. Chrysalis by Genevieve. For some reason, I always read this title as Chrysalis, but no, it is Chrysalis. It's a very solid, very fun album. Baby by Dijon. I Love My Computer by Nina Geraci. Getting Killed by Geese. Don't want to hear anyone talk about that album again, but it is good. The Passionate Ones, Nourished by Time. That was actually a Spotify recommendation for me, and I listened to it on release, and I thought it was cool. And then I saw a bunch of people talking about it at the end of year. Kind of think people post their favorite albums and whatever. And this was, I saw this quite frequently actually, which was very cool to see. Just didn't make the top 5 for me. Through the Wall by Rochelle Jordan. Lonely People with Power by Deafheaven, I think. I always say Deafheaven again. I just pronounce words wrong in my head. I mean, that's a name. It's not a word. Names are words. That's an example of an album that's not really for me. That is a really heavy album. Very cool experience, but quite the undertaking, I would say. I also really like the new Deftones album that I think that is called Private Music. I forgot to write that down. Sincerely by Kali Uchis beautiful album. From the private collections of Saba and No ID, from Saba and No ID. Kind of forgot about that album. I listened to it a lot when it came out. I listened to it again like 2 days ago. And I was like, hey, this was really good. I just forgot about it. I don't know why. Saya by Saya Gray, very nice album. Sinister Grift, Panda Bear, again, very nice. Vanisher, Horizon Scraper by Quedeca. This felt like a bait album for everyone on Rate Your Music. However, it successfully does so and is actually quite good. Dangerous Summer by Yeet, that's an EP, so it doesn't really count, but it is longer than the next album that is on here, which is Fancy That by Pink Pantheress. The album's 20 minutes long. It can't make the list. I really like a lot of these songs, especially like Stateside. That song rules. Speaking of EPs, the new Jane Remover EP, I think that's just called Heart. It's like the emoji heart. But it's good. This is kind of what I was hoping for from the album, and the album ended up being completely different. I'm still split on the album. I don't love Revenge Seekers, so that's not on here. Other than a few songs, some of the songs are bangers. Ginkgo by Panchico, God Does Like Ugly by JID, and then Ego Trip by John. I don't know if it's John Michael or Michelle. I don't think I misspelled it. I think it's Michelle because there's no T and there's no A. John Michelle and Anthony James, really fun album. Very, very lavish display of talent. Give that a listen if you're into kind of old school Kanye soul chop type beats. Really solid. Cool. Anyway, I'm gonna take a sip of water and then I'm gonna do that. Water has been drank. Our number 1 album for the year is an incredibly basic pick that everyone could have expected. It's going to be Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips. This album rules in every possible way. Completely different from our number 2 pick. Unlike that album, this album had an incredible rollout, just flawless interviews, fire singles, like Q&A sessions and stuff. Very solid. Also, it's pretty concise. I don't think it's that long. I think it's about 40 minutes, whereas the Weeknd album is like closer to an hour and a half. You can get through this thing in one sitting easily, and also you don't even need to, because all of the songs are excellent on their own. You could listen to them in any scenario. I did listen to this album in the gym like every day for like a month. And I'm not tired of any of them. The replay value on this is insane. Everything about this album is flawless. It's not really like that's what I'm saying. It's a boring pick, because I think a lot of people kind of agree with me on this. but it's just that good. Like it just feels excellent. There's a couple songs I'm not super crazy about. I think they lag behind a little bit compared to the rest of the album, but that I like the other songs would be like the best song on any other album. And yet there's a ton of them here. It's great. I don't even know what to say. Favorite song? Actually, I can say. I'm going to say it's FICO. FICO rules. So does Mike Tyson Blow to the Face. That song's also awesome. Yeah, I don't know. All the Pharrell beats here are great. The Washed allegations are gone. Pusha T does his thing here, which was kind of expected. He's been on a pretty solid streak for quite a few years now. What was less expected was his brother Malice on here. This is a rap duo for anyone unfamiliar with with Clips. I wasn't like a huge Clips fan to begin with either, mind you. So there's not a whole lot of bias going into this. I have liked Pusha T's recent work, but I'm not really an old head. You know, I don't listen to they've got classic albums, the old Clips albums, but I don't spend that much time listening to them. Malice, as far as I know, has been kind of MIA for a while in terms of in terms of rapping. If he has been putting anything out, I haven't really been hearing about it. So him being on this album is first of all kind of crazy, but also he's holding his own on it. He's at least holding his own on all of these songs, and often giving the best verse, even when we got the likes of like Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, and his own brother on here. Even old goats, we got like Nas on here. It's kind of insane. It's crazy. Yeah, but that's going to do it. That's going to be our top 5 albums of the year. It is December 31st, and it is already like 6 p.m. So I'm not going to edit this that much because I don't want to. That's actually, I don't know why I've been putting this off so long, but I had to do it. So here it is. I don't even know if I'm going to watch this back. I might just upload it. I might just do that. Drop a comment down below if you agree with anything on here. Drop a comment if you think my picks suck. Drop a comment if you have any suggestions for me. Drop a comment to tell me your top 5. Drop a comment to tell me what you ate for breakfast today. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Drop a comment if you want to see more videos. Drop a comment if you want me to make a video about Nubby's Number Factory. All right, yeah, I think that's it. There's a thing on my camcorder that's like here. You can't see it, I hope. So I feel like I'm like ducking under it because I've got like the little screen back. So I'm sorry if I'm like sitting weird. Maybe I should have been sitting more like this, you know? I have no idea how the audio sounds either. It might sound awful. But that's going to do it. Yeah. That was way too long of an outro.